And we're good.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Welcome, everyone. I am Kristi Cistaro. I am the chair of the board of directors for the Sault Ste. Marie Downtown Association. It is Wednesday, the 13th of April. Our meeting is not officially begun because we don't currently have quorum at this point, but hopefully that will happen imminently. For the purposes of attendance, at the moment, we have for staff, Salvatore Marchese and Nicholas Luck. Board members, we have myself, Kristi Cistaro, Paul Mason, and Nicholas Rosset. From the media, we have David Helwig. And from our public and partners, we have Sonny Spina, Tom Vair, and Mark Brown. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for your attendance tonight. We're going to start off for the purposes of discussion only, going through Salvatore Marchese's executive report for the board. So Salvatore, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kristi. All right, looking at the executive report, there was a few items I wanted to update the board about. So there's the Downtown Ambassador program that we've been working on. CMHA was able to hire somebody recently, and there's a hope to have them come and give a presentation to the next board meeting with the details of the program. There's just a few outstanding pieces that need to be finalized before they were ready to come and do that. Looking at our zero vacancy, we've discussed a few times at the previous meetings. So we've made some progress with that. Talking with the insurance company, it might be something that we can add on to our existing policy. The person who will give me the full details on that is out of the office for another week. We have distributed the letters to the property owners for some of the vacant properties, and we're waiting to hear back. The largest hurdle right now is to just get that legal review on the tenant or the tenancy, which we're still circulating, and we may have to look at authorizing somebody to review it, like based on the budget, but that's a discussion we can have at the board level.
Salvatore, I do have an update on that. I can bring up at new business if you'd like, just so I don't interrupt you, but there is something on that, unless you want me to go now.
Yeah.
As long as it's not something we need to vote on.
No, I don't think, well, it's nothing that we have to vote on yet. I did finally get a hold of a lawyer who is, it is within their field of expertise, this type of thing. That's going to be Paul Pachaco at Skeggs Pachaco Lawyers. I had a discussion with him today. He is excited for the program and gave me some preliminary ideas in terms of timelines and budgets and what he needs from us. So I can start putting together a memo to go to him. I guess we can work together on that, and then get a bit more of a formal quote on the costs there.
Okay, so we can leave that, I guess, for the time being with the update on that. In terms of our bank account, we have ceased operations with CIBC. We've taken all the funds from CIBC, including the GIC, and put it into Community First. It will be for the board as on the agenda to discuss investment options for the funds that were in the GIC. There's a principal that had accumulated interest of $41,544.68 to discuss what the board would like to do with. Our audit fees and bookkeeping. So the audit was completed, the journal entries were made, and there is an additional $2,900 fee on the audit this year, and that's due to the transition in bookkeeping. They had to do about twice as many journal entries to bring up the books to status, and that's outside the scope of the work from what they've informed us. On that same note, I've been working with the bookkeeper, and we were to meet this week to bring the bookkeeping in-house, but that's just been delayed 1 week and should occur sometime next week once we've set a date. And in terms of the downtown contribution, this is also on, yes.
Salvatore, sorry, one quick question about that. So that the audit reconciliation is over and above the bookkeeping fees that we had
yes,
anticipated from KPMG?
Correct. The bookkeeping fees are just a couple $100 over what we had budgeted them to be, but this $2,900 is strictly for the audit, and it's above and beyond
Okay.
the agreement.
Okay.
So we have this downtown contribution that's come to light that dates back to 2018, and this came from the planning department. And there was an application put in by the city to NOHFC where they had to ask for other partners, and the DTA at that time had made a commitment to $10,000 towards that application, and this also went to the AGM where it was also approved. Those minutes have been attached with your board packets this month, but if we are going to honor this payment, it has to be authorized by the board when the item comes up for discussion.
Hello. Hiya.
And that's what I have for my executive report this month.
Speaking.
Hi, Mark. Can you please mute your microphone? On that particular item, I'm going to have to declare a conflict. So even if that is before the board tonight for a vote, we're not going to have quorum on that.
I'm sorry.
It's all right if you remove yourself. Quorum would be determined by the remaining members.
Okay. So even if we only have 3 to vote on that, we would be okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we still do not have Lisa joining us, unfortunately. Okay. Well, I hate to do it, but we're going to continue to proceed just on discussion items, and we won't be voting on anything this evening. It's disappointing, but unfortunately, that's the situation we're in, and I don't want to delay our guests' time any further. So with that being said, let's move on to our downtown security discussion. Salvatore, would you mind introducing Sonny and starting that discussion off for us?
Yep, so we have Sonny from N1 Solutions here, and he's been carrying out the security program in the downtown for the past month as part of the contract. And we've just invited him to come and give any input on how that's been going or any information we can help to make the process move or be more successful.
Welcome, Sonny. We'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Sorry, I was trying to find the mute button there for a moment, but thank you for that. Much appreciated. So yeah, the program's been going well. I think recent weather has had a bit of an impact on the number of people that we are seeing out and about downtown in the evening hours. We're not seeing that many people out there, but we know that within the last month we've seen very extreme differences in weather between the large amount of rain that we got overnight, plus there was a lot of really cold and blowing days that kept a lot of people inside. Despite that, our team has been very active, and in fact, the city in particular, Mr. Vair has been very engaged with us, helping us along to make sure that we have the right correct contacts and locations that need to be checked, and the correct contacts for reporting. So those are all very good things for us that help us report back to everybody more fully and in a quicker way, so that we can make sure everybody gets the right information in a fast way. So I can tell you to date, it's been about a month that we've been running the project right now. I can tell you that total, our staff has done a total of about 63 reports relating to the downtown. Sorry about that. My phone call was coming in on there. I apologize. We've done about 63 reports total in regards to the downtown patrols. Now, of those reports, about 42% of those reports have been directly related to people going through garbage cans and leaving the garbage on the roads, whether it's right on Queen Street or in the back alleyways. I can tell you we haven't had an opportunity to engage anyone who's been doing that, but we have come across it. Our staff are trained to take photos of that and report it directly back. Part of the reason for that is we want to, one, be able to track over time where these things are happening so we can focus our patrols a little bit better. And two, we want to be able to report back to our clients and to everybody involved where these locations are so that we know, in fact, who's responsible for it, or because obviously it has to get cleaned up at some point in time. So we want to make sure that we know that we are reporting it to the correct people. We're certainly not the experts when it comes to boundaries, property lines, and whatnot. So we want to make sure that we're reporting it on so that everybody gets that information. Just under 10% of the reports we generated were in regards to needles that were found and picked up and disposed of by our staff. So our staff does have the proper toolkits to be able to take those and dispose of them. So that's about 10% of the calls that have been attributed to that, or sorry, 10% of the reports have been attributed to that. And the remaining reports, about 50, just under 50% of the remaining reports are general reports regarding activities going on in the downtown where they have gone and checked businesses, they've gone and checked locations and found that things have been secure. They perhaps have driven into the area. A lot of the reports indicate they've driven into areas where they have, seen some people and people have moved along without any interactions with our staff members. That does not mean in any way, shape, or form that there has been negative interactions with individuals. They've just been able to see our staff and moved along. Now, we talked briefly the last time that we met about our staff's ability to put out the RFID tags that are on locations in the downtown area. We've been able to deploy those in various different locations. I won't give the exact locations of where they all are, but there is, we started out with 10 of them in the downtown area, and we're at 11 now. We added, Salvatore, at your request, we added an additional one. So we're at 11 now. So within the last month, our staff have scanned those tags just under 600 times. So that means just under 600 times in the last month, they've been to each one of those exact locations in the downtown core. That's not including the other just general patrols that they've done in the area. That's just those exact locations. Each time they do one of those, there is an action that they have to do on the scan, meaning they have to tell us, is everything okay? Is there anything to report at this location? And nothing negative is coming out of any of those reports. So far, the project has been going very well. Staff are quite engaged. They report back on a daily basis to our management team and myself and let us know everything that's going on. We did have one report that came in regarding vandalism. And I don't have that report on me today, but it was just a single report that came in. Other than that, I know that, I know they have engaged a few folks downtown. Very simple things. People lost asking for directions, things like that. Again, very positive interactions, something we're very happy about. We're happy to see that the positive interactions are far outweighing anything that's negative.
Thank you, Sonny. I'm encouraged to see that of the 63 reports, there's a fair amount that were positive, or not necessarily negative at the very least. I did want to ask though, are you, I know it's early in the process, are you starting to see any trends? Are there any, pardon me, this is why I'm not in attendance in person tonight, sorry about that. Are there any particular areas or anything that we should bring to the attention of our membership, or are we still too early in the process for that?
Yeah, the one glaring trend that we have seen has been that this garbage trend where people are going into the garbage cans, just taking everything out, dumping it on the street, on the parking lot, on the sidewalk, and moving on. We were able very quickly to adapt our patrol times for a brief period. I know our time frame was from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., but we recognized that there was a period of time where it appeared this behavior was happening somewhere between that 6 a.m. and say 8 o'clock a.m. time frame. So there was a bit where we actually shifted our patrols to go to 8 a.m. And what we did is we actually used the extra hours from the weekend patrols that we have on the Friday, Saturday to cover that over so we could add some additional coverage in those times in the hopes that we could, stymie that behavior. Again, we haven't been able to engage anyone that's actively involved in that, but we are tracking it to see geographically what the trends are. Right now, it does appear that it's a bit of everywhere in that downtown catchment area. So we are trying to actively put in as many of those reports as we can, because our system will help us pinpoint hotspots or target locations so that we can target it.
Thank you. I imagine you'll keep us posted on that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's been the big issue that's been happening downtown. We all see it, we all recognize it. Like I said, the good news is not a lot of violent or high criminal activity. That's the good news. A lot of positive interactions.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions? Nicholas, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Thanks for the report, Sonny. I'm just wondering, and I'm wondering because if there's a way to help reduce that from continuing to occur, does it seem like it's more of a vandalism thing, or is it someone looking for something, be it food or I don't know, whatever,
Smokes, whatever.
yeah, whatever they're looking for. But is it a vandalism thing or a search?
That's a really good question. I can tell you myself, I went out to a few locations and it literally appeared that someone had just intentionally brought some garbage bins to a parking lot of one of the local businesses and just dumped garbage in their back parking lot and left it there. Other sites certainly have the appearance that someone is going through them looking for something. It's really impossible for us to tell what a person's intent is while they're doing it. But we have had conversations with anyone that we can where there is the ability to lock the cans down. We're just reminding folks that you have that ability. Please go ahead and use that ability to be able to lock them down so that they can't just be taken apart and just dumped on the street. But as to the actual intent of the folks doing it,
yeah, I mean, that was the purpose of the question, I guess, is, do you have any recommendations to help? So locking the box closed, locking it to a wall, I guess that's really the only.
Yeah, there's been a few cases where it looks like someone actually brought cans from Albert Street back towards Queen Street to parking lots that back kind of onto Albert Street and just dump them in the parking lot. Not really sure what someone's intent would be behind that. And then there's other ones where it's just dumped right there, literally beside the can. So it's really impossible for us to tell what the intent is, but you're absolutely right. If the more people we can encourage to either lock the cans, chain them to a proper location, that could help stop that behavior.
Great, thank you.
Paul Mason, go ahead.
Yes. Question about the needles. I found a few myself.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like 3 the past 2 years. So, is there a correct process for doing that? Like I grabbed it gingerly, put in a bag, put it in a garbage can. Is there a way people could contact the DTA or somebody for safe handling to dispose of these needles? Like, could we have a hotline they call you, said this day there's as a fee ad to dispose of needles for us?
Sure. As a fiat, absolutely there would be. Our patrol, keep in mind, is dedicated through the city from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. But certainly, if you come across it, I wouldn't encourage anyone to grab them with their hands, throw them into a garbage can. There are harm reduction kits that are available. If you do need them, I can help you get free disposable containers. Won't cost you a thing. And I will tell you, the very best tool in my experience I've ever come across for helping to remove and dispose of needles have been just cheap barbecue tongs. They allow you the ability to grab them, put them into the box safely. You never have to handle them. You never have to touch them. They go into a secure container that they won't spill out of, and then we can bring them to a pharmacy or someone appropriate to dispose of them.
Cool. All right. Thanks.
But certainly, if any business wants to talk about that, give me a call and we can chat about solutions for your business and just give you some tips that will help you.
Lisa, go ahead.
I can just further comment on the Sharps containers. You can get free kits at either Algoma Public Health or the Canadian Association of Mental Health right downtown. They have like a smaller Sharps container with instructions. So APH will come and drop stuff off and give you an information sheet. It's also downloadable, I believe, off the APH website. And I know in past years, the DTA did have a supply of the smaller Sharps containers. I don't know if we still do, but they're free at both locations. So please do that. And Sonny, I'm sorry, I was late coming in. But in terms, and I got just the tail end of your report, but just in the terms of reporting, are you keeping data like time, like what is your metric for measuring and recording patrols and data?
For which part of it? So the entire patrol is I guess the easiest way to answer it, sorry, is the entire patrol is logged in, again, all by date and time through the RFID tags. So
Okay.
each time one of those tags is scanned, the date and time is automatically logged when that
Okay.
happens. If there is an event that needs to be reported, so for example, there's a found needle in an insecure premise or something like that, a report is generated immediately at the time
Okay.
by the staff member. So certainly if and sometimes this does happen, a client has a question about, you know, something that occurred. Can we go back to the tags and tell us exactly what time someone was there so that we have a window of a time when something could have potentially happened? We can always go back to those and find the exact times that our staff were there.
Okay, so then if we wanted more detailed reports, we could just ask for a print off of this and that would be available to us?
Oh yeah, I can actually include that with monthly invoicing if you'd like. I can actually include a downloadable version of all of the tags that have been scanned, and you'll have an entire list of everything that's happened.
I think that would be helpful for
Yeah.
staff, certainly, especially if business owners are requesting that. If that could be available, then I think it would just make that flow of information easier for both Salvatore and Nick if people are asking for more details. So that would be great. Thank you.
Yep, we can include that. Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions for Sonny then? Okay, thank you, Sonny. I look forward to future meetings and seeing if we can start to develop some strategies to address what you're seeing out in the neighborhood. So thank you, and you know, certainly before our next meeting, if something arises, you know, to reach out to our staff if we can assist. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. I look forward to the next meeting, folks.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Okay, so just for the purposes of the record, Lisa Vezeau-Allen has joined us. So we do have quorum at this point. So we're going to backtrack a little bit on the agenda, and I'm officially calling the meeting to order. We've just been in discussion phase up to this stage. So first of all, the approval of the agenda is before the board. Does anyone have any issues or changes to note in the approval of the agenda? Okay, I will move to approve the agenda then. Can I get a seconder? Paul Mason. All in favor? 4 hands. Motion carries. Declarations of conflict of interest. I need to declare a conflict on item number 10 on the agenda. Does anyone else have anything to declare? Okay. Next are the March 2022 minutes. Does anyone have any additions, revisions, corrections to make to those minutes? Okay, I will move we approve the minutes then. Can I get a seconder? Lisa. All in favor? Approval of the minutes. That's 4. Thank you, everybody. Lisa, we did go through the executive report in advance of your arrival. Did you have any questions for Salvatore? I don't want to leave you out of that discussion.
No, I read the report. I didn't have any questions regarding the item from 2018. I mean, I wasn't involved with that, so I really can't comment on it. So just thank Salvatore for the report.
Okay, I believe that the minutes from that particular meeting are attached for reference if that assists, but that is all I will contribute to that discussion, and I am officially in conflict on it. Okay. So moving on then, we had our discussion with Sonny regarding security. We will move on to number 7, the downtown inventory map. Salvatore, can you bring us up to speed on that?
Yeah, so this was something that started with one of our summer students last year, and it started as just doing an inventory of the businesses, what businesses were located where, what type of business were they, the vacant properties, and we did an area stretched from Pym all the way down to Gore up to Wellington. We had the resources to go that far, and I was able to talk with Tom Vair at the city and let him know what we were doing. And he came on board and he took our data and he's worked to create an interactive map of all this information. And at this point, I can turn it over to him to speak more to it. But we just thought we'd bring it forward to the board because the discussion has been made to have this go out to the membership to look at.
Welcome, Tom.
Great, thanks, Salvatore. And apologies, I had an internet outage or something here, and I've been popping in and out, so I'm on my phone right now. As Salvatore said, we had used that data, and we worked with the Innovation Center, who was able to create an online map for us. And with that online map, we did some fine-tuning of it and updating of it. And as we looked at it, and we were using it, just to look at the downtown and clusters and opportunities, we thought that this actually might make a useful tool now that it's been created to make available to the public. It's on the Esri ArcGIS platform, so it is available to mobile devices and different devices online. And I was hoping, if my internet worked, to show you quickly walk through it with you tonight. Salvatore, I'm not sure if you are able to share your screen and if you have the link there to show people just kind of the overview of what it is.
Give me a quick second to just see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, and apologies for throwing this on to you. I just lost all my connection here for some reason. It looks like it's come back on. So if I beat you to it, I'll be able to do it on my machine. So as we're trying to do this madly, I can share. So what we've done is we've classified the different business types: restaurants and bars, health, specialty retailers, clothing, etc. A visitor to the site can choose on a drop-down list the type of business they're interested in, and then all those businesses appear on the map for them. And then if you click on any one of the bubbles, a little box appears, which then shows you the business name and a quick description of it and a link to the website that we found. So I should flag off the cuff that we are definitely saying this is a draft. We probably don't have all the businesses here. We hope we don't offend anyone. It's a work in progress. And what we'd like to do is go out to the business in kind of a soft launch here, just to the businesses, to have them take a look at their information, make sure it's correct. If we've missed anyone, definitely have them let us know and we can add them to the list. And we didn't put the business hours there. Part of our discussions, and we're open to feedback, was that a lot of people maintain that on their Facebook page or their website. And if they change something, this would be another place for them to change it. So we just thought we will link out to the correct website or Facebook address for each of the businesses. And that's where people could get more information on operating hours. But this just meant largely to, show someone quickly where different types of businesses are, and then they can have a directory of all the businesses downtown. I think when we do get, if people like it and are supportive of it, and that's a question we have for you, if people do think this is useful, if we do get to the stage of launching, I think there's a lot of good information here. I also think, for me, like looking at it, there's 30 restaurants and bars in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, and I think 17 clothing stores. So it's information that people might not be aware of that we can help promote, the diversity of businesses that we do have in the downtown, and a way for tourists as well to get information on stores and shops. So again, it's we put draft directly on the title page there. It's not something we want to launch to the public as of yet, but we would like to circulate to the business community, have them look at it, review it. We're open to any thoughts, comments, feedback, and we're hoping people think it will be a useful tool.
Where do we find that draft?
Just a couple of quick questions, Tom. Sorry, my home phone's ringing in the background. I hope that's not too distracting. Is it possible to link this to our site as well? And is it also possible, perhaps in the final version, to have like a a call to action right on there where people can directly submit any changes or corrections or additions?
Yes, absolutely. And that's another good point. Right now, it's sitting on that Esri ArcGIS platform. So the URL is quite a long string of letters and characters. And so what we thought, again, once we get, if people are supportive of it and do a launch, we could create a specific URL, downtown Sault Ste. Marie or whatever people like. We could build a wrapper around that. And we could also have, information about events, activities, highlighting anything going on in downtown. But in the short term, for sure, we could link it from your website. We'll include the contact information on our end for people to send in changes. And the Innovation Center is on board to do the updates for us on this.
Great. I think that's a very valuable asset to have for the whole downtown community. So that's very exciting. Anyone have any comments or questions for Tom on this? Lisa, go ahead.
Is it going to be mobile friendly, Tom?
Yes. Yeah, it is mobile friendly and can be accessed from mobile devices.
Okay. No, I think this is wonderful, and especially for tourists. And then if we can, widely share it, then I think that just makes everything quite benefit. Now, will this also include our cultural attractions, such as the Bush Plane, the library, the art gallery, Ermitaño?
Yes, that's right. We do have an icon for cultural attractions, so we've got them all included in this in the map.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Anyone else? Questions for Tom?
That's awesome.
Sorry, I'm trying not to cough into the mic on everyone here. Thank you so much for that, Tom. I'm sure our membership will have lots to say. I think that's a very positive thing, and it's great that we're going to have this information sort of centralized and easily updatable, so that we keep it current. That's I think it's going to be great.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is number 8, potential downtown initiatives. We have a member of the public here to address the board. Mark Brown, I'd like to introduce you to everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. If you want to give the board a bit of a introduction for yourself and share with us the information that you wanted to seek our input on.
Oh, thank you, Kristi. My name's Mark Brown. I'm a citizen of Sault Ste. Marie. I actively follow city council and committees of council and that sort of thing. So I'm very interested in what's going on in the city. I'm here tonight because, first of all, I'd like to thank Salvatore and Nick for getting the things that I had submitted to them in front of the executive so that they could give me an opportunity to speak to the entire board. So thank you all very much for that. And so what I submitted originally was a link to the detailed logistics of street closures that came from an organization called 880 Cities. And it's an organization that sort of mission is to create healthy cities that have healthy environments. So if you think about sending your 8-year-old child out to go play somewhere, you're going to feel my 8-year-old child is safe. If you think about sending your 80-year-old grandparent out to go walk, my grandparent is safe doing that. And so that's the type, and every age in between. So that's the type of goal that organization is working towards. And I didn't just come across this because, it was interesting to me. I came across it it's a detailed logistical plan for closures of streets. I came across it because I was actively looking for something like this. And as a result of the January 9th City Council meeting where Councillor Shoemaker and Councillor Hollingsworth put forward a motion to, have these street closures, either one block of the BIA or several blocks of the BIA from Victoria Day all the way through to Labor Day. So once a week or potentially twice a week on Friday and Saturday, they had this resolution that was not recommended by City Council for approval, but our City Council agreed to have staff investigate it. And so I investigated it. I came across this detailed logistical plan and I sent it out to Councillor Shoemaker and Councillor Hollingsworth, and I didn't hear anything back. And so when I had the opportunity to send it to you folks, because it equally applies to you as it does to them, I did that. And like I said, Salvatore and Nick helped me to get it before you folks. So that's not the entire history of the whole thing. What I found out in doing research last night actually was that in 2017, Councillor Shoemaker and Councillor Hollingsworth had put forward the exact same motion, a motion to have street closures along a portion of the BIA from Victoria Day to Labor Day on either Friday or Saturday or potentially both. And the reason they put forward that motion and resolution at that time, which was accepted by City Council of 2017, is because your board had done a survey of your membership, and your members came back and said, 75% of them said, yeah, we would like either Friday or Saturday, but not both. And so I was able to find that as a result of David Helwig's reporting on it in SooToday. And so back in 2017, Councillor Shoemaker and Councillor Hollingsworth were actually doing it to support your board and your membership. They were saying, okay, we'd like to participate in helping you out to achieve your members' desires to have these things happen. So that kind of changed my mindset in terms of what I was going to recommend to you tonight, because the 880 cities detailed logistics are quite onerous. I mean, if you look at them, they require a significant investment of time, which in the end means taxpayer dollars if the city is going to take that on itself. So that's the crux of the matter, if the city is going to take it on itself. And so, at the end of the city staff's analysis, it may be that, City Council is willing to make that investment in the downtown in order to start to get people to come back down to the downtown, if it only be for Friday night or Saturday night. I mean, it's still getting people used to coming back to the downtown and creating these public spaces. So it's a public space that's created by closing these streets. And potentially the businesses in the hospitality sector can put out patios that stretch across the street. And as the people who come back down to avail themselves of these, say Friday evening, public spaces, patios, and fill up the streets, then maybe some of the, clothing retailers that we just heard about from Mr. Vair, 17 of them apparently. And, people are attending the bars and the patios. So the retailers for the clothing stores see, oh, this is a significant population that we're not likely to see at any other time during the week. We should maybe open up at night here and, take advantage of these things. So again, it's benefiting your membership along the BIA. So I happened to talk to the executive director today of 880 Cities. Unfortunately, she was unable to come this evening, but she said that if you or the city would like them to make a presentation as to their 20-year experience of conducting these open street things upon which this detailed logistical plan is based, she said she'd be very happy to do that. So her name is Amanda O'Rourke, and she's the executive director of 880 Cities. And like I say, she'd be happy to come and do a formal presentation and give you the benefit of their experience. And, because Thunder Bay has done a couple of them, and California has done a few of them, and Toronto has done a few of them. And she said the gold standard is Bogota, Colombia. And the reason they're the gold standard is because they do one of these a week. So if we were to do that, same thing, one per week between Victoria Day and Labor Day, then we would be counted amongst, North America as the gold standard, according to this executive director of 880 Cities. Anyhow, so I could go through the detailed logistical plan and show you exactly the magnitude of what's required, if you'd like.
So Mark, I'm going to stop you before you get too far into detail here. I don't think this is the right forum for that. There may be an opportunity to get into a bit more detail either at our event subcommittee setting or with our staff and executive directly. But I know, closing the street is certainly something our organization does and will continue to do. I think the scale at what's being suggested is the part that we all need to, in partnership with our city partners, sort out how and if and where the funding would come from to resource that appropriately, what that looks like. So that's certainly a conversation that's ongoing, and we appreciate the support and encouragement from members of the public like yourself. I think Paul Mason had his hand up for a question. Paul?
More of a comment. It's a great idea. But again, being an event subcommittee, it's a lot of resources that we don't have. Like who's gonna set it up, take it down, regulate it. Definitely something I want to talk more about for sure in the future. But right now, it's a great idea. We're definitely gonna look at it. But right now, the thought of doing that on a weekly basis just baffles how that'd be accomplished.
Okay. So let's definitely ensure that Mark is included in our next event subcommittee discussion. And we can also take a look at Salvatore and Nick, if you could take a look at the 880 Cities resources that Mark's suggesting and see how we can best incorporate that information for the association. Mark, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, no, that's okay. Thanks. No, I appreciate you cutting me off in terms of the detail because, it's quite lengthy. Also, Paul, just to address your concern, I think you already have your answer because at the January 9th City Council meeting, at least in terms of agreement in principle, City Council passed a resolution saying, staff, can you go investigate the costs and the details of doing this entirely on our own? Now, I think that, the problem has been that, and I'm not hearing it here tonight because I just heard Kristi say, our city partners, you guys are willing to partner with the city. It's just that you have a limited budget and you know what it's like because when the resolution in 2017 was passed, you started to do more of these sort of open street events where you have to block off, traffic, and you have to get volunteers, and they have to be responsible volunteers who are going to show up and they're going to do their jobs responsibly and all those sorts of things. But city council said, hey, cost it out, staff, and bring it back, and we'll see exactly what, if it's worth the investment for the taxpayers, because I mean, it is an investment. You guys understand that. Because like I said, the hospitality sector will get increased business. You'll start to get more people getting used to come down to the downtown. You'll start to get, retail outlets that are not in the hospitality sector opening up at night on those particular days and getting used to that and staffing. So, I mean, there's a whole host of benefits by partnering. And one of the other things that Ms. O'Rourke said was, you guys and the city and other, interested parties and responsible parties, like your membership, like, the Sioux Trails Advisory Committee, they have a bunch of very committed volunteers, and part of the logistical plan that 880 Cities has bikes. Now, in terms of just one thing else I wanted to offer, I looked at maybe doing it one block at a time, or doing it the entire block that the city council has identified, which is not the entirety of the BIA, but it provides a buffer on the outer extremities of Queen Street that allow traffic to go around if they want to go down to Bay, or if they want to go down to St. Mary's River Drive, the mall, that kind of thing, around that traffic, around that sort of space. So to me, it would be preferable to do the entire length of the space. And it's for one significant reason. If you do it one block at a time, and it's for the hospitality sector, and it's for patios, out across the street, the hospitality businesses in that block will get all the business, and all the other ones further down the road, they're not going to get the business. So it's not really, it's building competition. And she said it in a kind of cryptic way. Yes.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Mark, really appreciate this, and I'm very familiar with AA Cities. I've sat in, I know, on a meeting with one of their volunteers. They've been around in Toronto for I think about 10 years, and I've seen their work, like their work elsewhere. And I confer with Kristi that, and I'm sure Tom can pipe in too. I think we all have the same goals in creating, a pedestrian space. And my comments from that January meeting were, but we also need to talk to the retailers and the business owners, because while you have some that are for, you have some that are against. And that runs into every time we close off the street. And I've been involved as a volunteer doing this for a number of years. And when I was at Sioux Youth Association, we did Busker Fest. And, so while you have a lot of people that love it, you also have people that don't, and they find that it can negatively affect their business. So certainly appreciate it. And 880 is a great model. But I think we can all agree that we all want something that's going to benefit everyone, our community, our business owners, our downtown. And I will say, the patio season was very robust, and I saw a lot of people downtown. And I think it's growing and building, especially, more people are accessing. And now that the pandemic is loosened up, and you're seeing lots of families at the Bush Plane and the library and walking around. So I think that is happening, and we're all working towards that. But there's a whole other side of this, which are the business owners. And I think those voices really need to be represented and heard. But certainly, city is looking, DTA, there's a great relationship there. And I certainly don't think that there's anything to hinder that. And Kristi and Paul and everyone else is correct, because we've lugged those tables and chairs and put out those pylons, and it's not fun, especially at 2 a.m. So that is very much a reality as well. But I look forward to, I think Kristi's right. This is really well put at the event level. And I put the website up in the chat box so everyone knows it's 880cities.org to check it out. And really appreciate your contribution, Mark.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Vezeau-Allen.
Mark, just so that we don't run out of time, because I know this isn't the only topic you wanted to discuss. Did you want to share with us your proposal regarding speed limits and parking that you indicated you wanted to bring up tonight?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, thank you. And I look forward to being with you at the committee level to talk about logistical things that can alleviate the concerns of the membership. Because as I said, originally it was 75% of the membership that had said, we'd like to see this. So so secondly, I wanted to talk to you about making the downtown more walkable. So just imagine this. So from Queen down to the waterfront being completely walkable. So somebody from Villa Santa Maria, being able to walk up to Queen Street without any concern. Tourists getting off the cruise ships and coming and seeing a laid back sort of environment where they can, explore the entirety of the downtown from sort of Pym Street to, Huron Street. So if you can imagine that, now this can be accomplished through a single act. It can be accomplished by changing the speed limit down there to 30 kilometers an hour. And why do I pick 30 kilometers an hour? Because again, 880 cities in the sort of letter that I sent to you, there's a link to a study, a 40-page study. It's dated. It's about, 5 years old or something, but it's still current. It's in terms of its impact. It says that the worldwide standard for walkable cities is 30 kilometers per hour in residential neighborhoods. So the kids, in our city could play, street hockey without having, and be able to say car and, and not get run over. Now, 30 kilometers an hour. Why? Because if you recall, Gil of 880 Cities, the former executive director, was here in 2018, and he talked to us about 30 kilometers an hour. And what it is, at 50 kilometers an hour, the chance of being killed if you get hit is 85%, whereas at 30 kilometers an hour, the chance of getting killed is 5%. And so at 40 kilometers, it's somewhere in between those two extremes. And so, it makes so that people aren't going to get killed. And that's number one. Secondly, 30 kilometers an hour, we're as a city, we're going towards net zero. So the Environmental Monitoring Committee had previously suggested 20 kilometers an hour, which is not the worldwide standard. Sweden doesn't use it, that kind of thing. But the worldwide standard for walkable cities is 30 kilometers an hour. It's slow enough to not kill anybody, and it's fast enough that provides a sort of measured, even keeled speed for all people who are driving in those zones. So I'm not recommending it for all, the entirety of the city in the neighborhoods right now. I'm recommending it to you as a sort of initiative to pursue with City Council to say, hey, we'd like the entirety of from Queen Street down to the waterfront to be 30 kilometers an hour, in order so that after a Greyhound game, all the people crossing the street, if they get hit by a 30 kilometer an hour car, they're not going to get killed. But also to decrease these sort of noxious emissions from vehicles, because they're going slowly and they're going evenly, and which also improve health of people with asthma, that kind of thing. There's a whole host of benefits. So there's environmental benefits in terms of helping to reduce our carbon footprint. There are health benefits because not unexpectedly, when you're driving that slow, the people who want to just pass through the downtown, they're going to use Wellington and Albert. The people who want to sort of cruise around, they're gonna and go along the waterfront and check out the stores and that kind of thing. They're going to go down there, and so it's going to create this slow space where people are more inclined to use active transportation, so walking, cycling, that kind of thing. We've got a big downtown, right? And so it creates that sort of active living or active transportation environment, and with these health benefits and these living benefits and slowness benefits. I mean, it's been proven over and over and over again. If you read the 41-page study, it's all in there, all the studies, that kind of thing. So
Okay.
that's my offering to you on that. That's just a simple thing you can do. The cost just basically signage and enforcement. And, it's something that people get used to, and, it will increase the activity in the downtown stores, because you now have people who feel safe crossing every street because there's nobody speeding at 50 kilometers an hour and they can't make it across the street, even with the 2 lanes. So that's what I have to offer there. Any questions, comments?
I will tell you, certainly walkability in the downtown is a priority. And I think there's a number of initiatives that have been undertaken to help support that goal, both within our boundary proper, as well as extending that boundary down towards the waterfront. The recent redesign of the Bay Street corridor was a big piece of that, furthering that goal of increasing the walkability and the incorporation of the hub trail and the beautification efforts from the city on that regard. In addition, wayfinding signage is a big piece of that, so that people understand that there's something to head up to Queen Street to see from those cruise ships that are docking at our doorstep, quite literally. And we've seen some significant improvements in new wayfinding signage go up. And we anticipate the plaza will help with some of that connection as well. But I am inclined to agree with you. The speed level of vehicular traffic downtown is at times pretty excessive. And I know that's a concern. We would have to sort of undertake some efforts to discuss what a recommendation for our membership would be, because certainly city street speed limits are outside of our jurisdiction. So we appreciate the feedback, and it's something we'll definitely keep as a part of the discussion of the broader walkability and accessibility that we're striving for in the downtown.
Right. Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. So I guess my response to that is, yeah, I mean, as citizens, as community organizations, I mean, as a city council, we all have to work together. I mean, to support these good and right things, right? Whether it's outside your jurisdiction or not, I can tell you it's not outside your jurisdiction. You're part of that community. You're part of the entire community. And so, if you read the 41-page report and you think that it has merit, then, I would encourage you as a board to support it and, make a recommendation to council that it would benefit you if you see something in there that would benefit you. If you don't, then that's entirely, up to you. But I can tell you the speed of downtown and making it more healthy, more safe, net zero. I mean, that's something that all of us have jurisdiction over, in my opinion.
Okay.
Great. Okay. And my final idea, I think Councillor Vezeau-Allen might be aware of it. I don't know. This is an idea I sent to the City Council, and Councillor Dufour expressed an interest in it at one point, and to the point of emailing me back, and he was going to make comment about it in terms of when Councillor Shoemaker had his resolution in one of the December meetings about having free parking over Christmas. So this is a free parking idea as well, but it's a pseudo free parking. And it goes like this. It's very straightforward, but it's extremely beneficial to your membership. So you continue having parking the way it is with bylaw officers, enforcement officers, and people just go down and park wherever they want in the in the downtown. And they come out and they get a ticket, right? Perhaps, if they're not, if they've parked in one of these 2-hour free parking places, or if they, just decided to park in front of a store and be in there for 3 hours, they have a ticket. And so the idea is they have the opportunity to pay the ticket with receipts from that day from a retail outlet or a dentist or whatever. If they've spent money down there, then they get to use that receipt against the ticket up until the point of it's zeroed out. So, if they go in, so if they have the ticket, they can then go and buy something from one of your stores. They don't have to buy it prior to getting the ticket, just, they got to do it. And so this opens up a whole bunch of opportunities. So basically, they're making another investment. City Council would be making another investment of, paying the bylaw officers, foregoing the ticket revenue. But it's one that puts money in the bottom lines of your membership, okay, directly every day, 100%. And so that's great. Eventually, as a result of this investment, and there's some logistical issues which Councillor Dufour raised, but eventually business owners are going to say, hey, if I go down there, I'm going to have people coming in and giving me money for parking tickets, right? And so, that's a revenue stream that wouldn't otherwise be available to them. But also it's an opportunity for people to, see what's going on in their store. But on top of that, let's say they get a ticket and somebody's, walking down the street. They say, hey, neighbor, do you have any sort of receipts I can use to pay my ticket? And the neighbor can be neighborly and say, yeah, sure, here you go. Or the neighbor can be, enterprising and say, yeah, if you give me $5, I'll give you my receipt. Or, something like that. And even further, people who are in the downtown core who, are requesting money of people who are walking by on a regular basis, they can catch wind of this and say, and start asking for receipts and then selling those receipts, right? So that they can get a source of revenue. And then when people maybe decide, oh, I don't want to talk to you, they start to think, well, if I clean myself up, maybe I can, have a better chance of selling receipts as a revenue stream for myself. So, I mean, there's all these social benefits, being neighborly, community benefits, merchant benefits, and the logistics of it, well, Councillor Dufour had a question about what about fraud? What about fraudulent receipts? So there's two sides of that. There's the merchants who could, just print a receipt and say, here, give me.
Mark, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I don't think this is the proper forum for the logistics of how this might work. I'm certainly open to and in favor of any initiative that could help reduce the number of tickets that patrons of the downtown get, and anything that can make that parking situation a more enjoyable and congenial. We want to facilitate access and ensure that we're fulfilling whatever obligations we have to maintain the infrastructure related to that. And beyond that, we want to encourage business. So the particulars of what that might look like in this scenario, I think, are better suited to a different forum for discussion. But I'm going to thank you for bringing that up, because it's not a scenario I had heard of before,
Right.
An exchange of some sort for tickets. So that's a really interesting concept and a new take on that. So I want to thank you for that. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thanks. Yeah, no, I understand. The logistics are probably misplaced here. So the overall goal is to have ticket money go into your merchants' bottom lines. So they get a ticket, and bylaw officers continue to issue tickets every 2 hours for the same vehicle if somebody's parking there all day. So they could, go in and buy $20 worth of stuff or $30 or whatever amount of tickets. So the goal is not to reduce the number of tickets. The goal is to put the ticket revenues, instead of in city coffers, the taxpayers' coffers, to put that revenue as an investment in commercial development downtown by putting money directly in your merchants' pockets. So that's the goal. I mean, it's an investment. Money is foregone by the city, but it's an investment into having commercial development over the long haul, because there's a benefit to locating your commercial establishment downtown, and that benefit is having daily parking revenues.
Does anyone from the board have any questions or comments for Mark?
Great ideas. We'll definitely discuss them in the future.
Great, thanks.
Like, good stuff there.
Okay,
Thanks.
anyone else? Okay, Mark, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us and share this information. There's some really valuable stuff. I personally chair the event subcommittee, so I will ensure that you are included in the next scheduled meeting. I don't have one on the books yet, so I can't share that date with you tonight, but I'll make sure that you're on my contact list for that meeting, and we look forward to discussing some of these ideas in more detail with you.
Great. Well, thanks very much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Like I say, we all need to work together if we're going to make our downtown a better and more activated space.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Next item on the agenda is number 9. So we have had a board member resign. I've regrettably accepted the resignation of Kelly Walker from our board. I want to thank Kelly for her contributions to our association over the last few years that she's been with us. She's been of great value to our board and our association, and I wish her well and encourage her, if she ever changes her mind, to certainly apply to rejoin us. So does anyone have any questions about that before we move on to the next item? Oh, Salvatore, go ahead.
Yeah, we just need a motion to accept her resignation.
Okay, so I move to accept the resignation of Kelly Walker from the board. Can I get a seconder? Lisa, all in favor?
If we say no, does she have to stay on?
I wish it were that simple. I lobbied hard, I promise, to keep her. So all in favor, thank you so much, everyone. So Kelly's resignation is accepted. So we're now moving on to item number 10. This is the item I have a conflict on. So I am going to remove myself from the call. Salvatore, when this discussion has concluded, if you could invite me back in. Can I get one of my fellow members to take over as chair for this purpose? Lisa, you have your hand.
I just want to say, I think we need to defer it because we won't have quorum.
So the way it worked from what I was told is that if somebody has to remove due to a conflict, quorum becomes what's remaining of the board.
So there'll just be 3 of us.
It would just be 3 of you. And what it is you would, if it was to continue down to just like 1 person, then it's a conflict in common and everybody would be able to vote.
I just don't feel comfortable because none of us were have any of that history. We weren't at that board meeting. We weren't involved in the board of directors.
Okay, before we go any further, I can't even be here for this part of this discussion. So I'm going to remove myself. Salvatore, please call me when I can rejoin, okay?
Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
Kristi. I can be acting chair right now. I chair lots of meetings. So I think just that I don't have any issues with what was, in the minutes that they approved that $10,000 and it didn't happen. I just think we should have people here to vote to do it that we're actually part of the association then. I don't know what your feelings are. And then I don't know what your feelings are, Nick and Paul. So it was a motion that was approved to contribute $10,000 from the board to the city for it must have been the Robert Brooks study and all of that was going on.
It was.
Okay, that's what I gathered from the minutes.
Yeah. So with that comment, this is not pressing to the point where it would have to be resolved tonight.
Okay.
So if the board wishes to defer it, we could wait till the next board meeting. We have not received the invoice, but we have received notice that it'll be coming. So there is time if we wish to defer to the next meeting.
Yeah. So, Paul Scornaienchi was involved with the motion and he's still on the board. So I think even if we could have, one other board member that was present during that meeting and that has the history. And I think that's just better for all of us as board members that weren't part of that discussion or that arrangement, that should happen. I think that just makes better governance sense.
So Paul and Ange and Kristi and Frank were on the board at that time.
Correct.
So personally, I have a problem because it's already been committed, but I get what you're saying because we don't know, we weren't part of that decision.
Correct.
If we have the time, I'm good with deferring it.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I need a motion to defer item number, I'm looking at 2 screens right now. 10.
I so move to defer item number 10 until a time board.
And
Yeah.
Nick, you're going to second it.
All in favor?
All in favor.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, I'll invite Kristi back.
Okay, thanks. David, I have to ask, are you wearing a kimono? Because it looks incredible. I like the trim. This is my 4th Zoom meeting today, so I apologize.
Hi, everybody.
I know, we'll look at half an hour, right?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. So we can move on to number 11 then. investment options. So this is as it relates to where we want to put what was formerly in our GIC at CIBC, now that we've moved it over to our new credit union account. Salvatore, do you want to give us the rundown of these options?
Yeah, so I can go
Paul,
through.
you have your hand up?
Sorry, just before you start, Sal, I had the sheet here. Is our option only limited to GICs? Like we'll be doing an income ETF that's going to give much better returns. Like, is that an option, or does it have to be a GIC for legal reasons?
So no, it doesn't have to be limited to that. We don't have a formal policy of what restricts us or not, but general practice is that we don't tie our funds up for more than 1 year, whatever option we go into.
Okay, like you put it in a balanced fund ETF that's not locked in at all, right? It's totally liquid, and it's going to give probably better than a 1.15% rate of return. Now it's not guaranteed, but you know, if you're like I see the low what like conservative income ETFs that regularly give like 2, 3, 4%, and rather than having a set locked in term for 1, 2 years, I think I'm going to have options beyond the GIC.
Yeah.
And if it's worth exploring some of those before we get to discuss in detail. But
Yeah. So if you desire, we could also defer this, and I could go back to the bank and ask for some more options.
as well, yeah. Is that something you guys want to discuss, or are you guys buying the GIC?
To be honest, Paul, I think if we're going to discuss other options, I think we should convene a meeting of the finance subcommittee and sort of hash those out in detail and then come back to the board with a recommendation.
Right.
So can I task you with reaching out to, it would be myself and Frank and Paul, I believe, are the only 3 members currently on the finance subcommittee. Certainly anyone else up to quorum that would like to join is welcome to join that. And we can take a look at those options and discuss it.
Sure, I'd definitely be happy to do that.
Okay, does anyone else have any issues with us deferring that item then? Okay, I move that we defer the item to the, so just to be specific here, item number 11 on our agenda regarding investment options. I move that we defer that for discussion again at the May board meeting, and in the interim, a finance subcommittee meeting will be held to discuss.
Unless this is time sensitive. Like Nick just said, yes. No, okay. Do you guys want to do this, or are you fine doing a GIC? Like I think 3% is better than 1.5%. I'm just saying. But is a lot of money? No. Is it being a tad bit more responsible with their money? Is it, or am I being too much right now?
Well, at the very least, we certainly need to investigate if there's anything within the Municipal Act that would preclude us from any certain types of investments. I know traditionally we've done a GIC and that's been fine, but I think it's worth investigating in more detail. Sorry, Lisa, I think I cut you off. Were you about to add?
No, I just said it, especially because there's only 4 of us here. I think I would feel better making that decision with having a better complement of the board as well, and including the treasurer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're sorry, I didn't. Were you done?
I'll make a motion to defer this to next board meeting pending further review by the finance committee and see other available options, and with municipal access as well.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor? Lisa, you're good. Okay, so that item is deferred.
Here comes that right, but just one off.
Financial statements.
Because the extra risk. Yeah, I'll do that for
Salvatore, can you give us the highlights?
Yeah, the big thing on the financial statements, everything's in line for the most part. The one thing that stands out this month is the $5,000 grant we received from the Community Development Corporation towards Poutine Feast. That's what that income item is. And then we've also added in the costs for bookkeeping and the audit fee. That's the flat fee. We haven't been billed yet for the overage. And just so everybody knows, our budget was approved this past week, and we will be receiving our second levy installment later this month.
Thank you. So, sorry, the grant that was approved was for poutine feast for 5,000?
Yes.
Excellent. That's great news. Any other questions for Salvatore? Any items that we need more detail on? Okay. The next item on our agenda then are the Lightbox board member selection. Salvatore, can you give us some detail on that?
Yes, so the city has come back to us that they have approval to move forward with the light boxes, but they said they would like to have somebody from the board as part of the selection committee for the art. So among some of the city staff, it would be myself and then one member from the board that wishes, that's selected to also be on the selection committee.
So are we looking for volunteers then?
Yes.
I think Mr. Paul Mason would be an awesome volunteer for that committee.
I will be on that committee. I volunteer. I nominate myself to be on the committee.
I'm nominating you.
Lisa nominated Paul. I second it. All in favor? Done. Thank you, Paul.
Glad to help out.
I've seen a couple of articles on that project. I think it's a really interesting, interesting thing, and I think it'll definitely add to that. That we seem to have a real building momentum of cultural experiences downtown, and I think it's a great addition. So kudos to the city for putting that together. Subcommittee updates. This is probably going to be quick since most of our subcommittee chairs are absent tonight. So finance, Frank is absent, so we'll forgo that. Service sector, Kelly is absent. Do I have anyone? I know we have a lean attendance tonight, but do I have anyone that's interested in stepping in to chair that service sector subcommittee now that Kelly's resigned?
I can look at that. Yeah.
We'll talk and get back to you. We'll talk and get back to you.
Okay, I'll bring this up again at the next board meeting. I'd encourage, since we do have limited attendance tonight, I'd encourage everyone to consider if they're willing to put their name forward to chair that subcommittee, and we can have a more fulsome discussion at the next board meeting on that. Communications, Angela is absent, and she did not provide me with an update to share on her behalf. Salvatore, did you have anything? Nick, sorry?
Yeah, is it okay if I just read it out?
Oh, my apologies. So Angela provided you with the update. Go ahead.
So she just said there was no major communications update other than promoting our events regularly on social, sharing posts as per usual. She wanted to mention Adrian Balaka of Borderline Radio reached out to her and expressed some interest to have DTA staff do a regular update on their platform.
Awesome.
Great. Anyone have any questions that I can take back to Angela? Okay. Moving on then, event subcommittee. We haven't met since the last meeting, so I don't have anything to add myself. But Salvatore, do you have an events update? I know you've been working on a few things.
Yeah, we are getting really close. Well, our event season's kicking off next month with the downtown cleanup. Everything's coming together. Nick has been really active in trying to recruit vendors and artists and trying to get everything booked up ahead of time for the events. And we are in the finals. We are trying to clarify one issue for Poutine Feast, and once that's done, we will be good. And that should be taken care of by the next board meeting.
Great. Does anyone have any questions I can bring to the events subcommittee?
Come to the spring cleanup.
I'll be there. May 14th, is it?
I have seen an uptick since it's nearing the end of the school year of people wondering about volunteer opportunities, and I've done my best to tag the Downtown Association in every mention of those. So hopefully you can benefit from some of those folks looking to log those volunteer hours before the end of the school year. But I would encourage you maybe to reach out proactively to our high school contacts again, because it might be a real timely thing for them.
Salvatore, another, I've had a couple of fellows from the Ken Brown home that came into G4G asking for volunteer hours. We're pretty limited, just because I don't like to have too many cohorts together in the space. So I would call the executive director at Ken Brown, and possibly, and then I'll see if I can get a group together from G4G as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Anyone else? So moving on to beautification then. Paul did send me a brief beautification update. He's been meeting recently with the City of Sault Ste. Marie Sustainability Coordinator, a lady by the name of Emily Cormier, with some objectives and plans that we can share with the membership, furthering a goal to reduce carbon emissions by 2050. She's willing to speak at our next meeting, so we'll likely invite her to make a presentation. Paul is also meeting with Clean North this week for some other environmental initiatives. And sorry, he's asked that Nick and Salvatore speak to the downtown cleanup. So can I turn it over to you? Sorry, I'm coughing in on everyone here.
So also,
Yeah,
sorry, I have a few points.
No,
So I'm talking,
go ahead.
sorry. So I'm talking to Pet Value and PetSmart about possibly donating at least dog poop bags or medium containers for that as well. So we have dog poop bags downtown. And funny enough, Nick found these. It's down from the 90s for putting up homemade, sorry, there we go. Dog poop bin / bag things that they build and put up themselves. All right. So that's an option. All right. But I think, so I'm looking into that. But also, I think we should look into having the city donate the containers to have the hub trail, whatnot. Because my issue will be if we make our own, we put it on a pole, what's the liability, PUC, city, this, that, the whole problem all over again. So I'll be looking into that with Paul over the next few weeks as well. But I'm doing that. And also, we're putting locks on garbage cans because the city has all those ones down, like the beige big ones. And if those are locked, that probably would decrease the amount of garbage strewn around if you can't get to it. Something to contact our city partners about. That's it. So it's all.
Yeah, no, just for the downtown cleanup, it's coming together. We've partnered up with Clean North. They're going to assist us. We've gotten materials for the cleanup. We're just in the rounds of getting some more volunteers. I don't know if you have anything to add, Nick. I know you've actively been working on this.
Reached out to Clean North with Bill Cole, and I'm probably going to meet with him the next week, and they have tons of bodies that are. Bill knows everybody in town that are litter pickers. That he knows them all, and he's provided a lot of great information. They've been a very good partner so far, so we're looking forward to working with them, and I'm sure we can provide some more updates on that as we go forward.
Great. Anything anyone wishes me to bring back to Paul on that then?
Maybe talking to the city about getting poop bags, same as Hub Trail. I'm looking for other avenues, but it'd be an easy solution for us.
Yeah, I think that was part of his takeaways from the last meeting. So there may already be discussions or, he may be reaching out on that. I would expect he'll have more detail that he can share in person on the next time. Okay. Anything arising in new business? No. Excellent. So if there's not, sorry, I didn't mean that to sound quite as enthusiastic as it did. If there's nothing else, then I will move that we adjourn the meeting for tonight. Can I get a seconder? Excellent, Paul Mason. Thank you so much, everyone, for your attendance tonight. And I will see you next month.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good holiday weekend, whatever you're celebrating.
That's right. Yes. Celebrate having kids at home.
See you.
Okay. Good night.
Bye.
Kristi?
Yep.
Is it appropriate for me to talk to you here?
Sure.
Okay. And Lisa isn't available, is she? She's left the call?
She has left the call, yes.
Okay, now this is number 10, so I fully understand you may have a difficulty. Can you tell me what was your pecuniary interest on item number 10?
I work for the Ministry of Northern Development, Mines, Natural Resources, and Forestry, and one of the I help administer grant programs for NOHFC. So any discussions around NOHFC, I am recusing myself from.
Okay, so I don't know whether you can help me on this, but I well recall that meeting, especially the AGM. That was a rather tense one, and I think it would be fair to say it was stacked with members that came out to vote on a particular side of that. But does anyone know whether there was a motion at any point not to pay that? I can't figure out why Josh didn't pay it.
To be honest with you, I don't have any information on that, David, and I really hesitate to make any comment just because of my involvement. Okay.
But your situation there.
Yeah.
Okay, and I apologize, by the way. I believe I'm just getting used to this particular meeting format and had difficulty finding the controls. I believe at one point my cleaner was asking for instructions, and I think I accidentally unmuted myself.
No,
Sorry.
I don't think you interrupted at all. And I will tell you, it's lovely to have you on camera after 2 years. So I'm glad that you left your camera open. It's nice to not just see a square with someone's name. So thank you for doing that tonight.
I appreciate your help as always.
Yeah, anytime.
Take care, Kristi.
Okay, you take care, David. Bye-bye.